Probably without this machine, there won't be skyline as high as what we have now. Before this machine, buildings rarely grow over 5 stories. They make moves, people or goods between floors of a building. They work by increases or decreases a person's potential energy without them needing to supply that energy themselves. This machine gives you potential energy when you are going up, and it takes potential energy from you when you are coming down.
Is a vertical transport vehicle that lifts people up from one floor to another floor in a building. They are generally powered by electric motors that either drive traction cables and counterweight system or pump hydraulic fluid to raise a cylindrical pistons. The most popular elevator design is the rope elevator design, where a car is raised and lowered by steel cables. An elevator is simply a metal box with doors that close in one floor and that opens in another floor. The key parts of an elevator are: first one is one or more cars, or you can call it metal box, that are raised up and down. Next is counterweights that balance the cars. An electric motor that hoists the cars up and down, including a braking system. And also a system of strong metal cables and pulleys running between the cars and the motors. And also the various safety systems that protect the passengers of cables if the cables break. In large buildings, an electronic control system that directs the cars to the correct floor using a so-called elevator algorithm.
Scientifically, elevators are all about the energy to get from the ground to the 18th floor. Walking stairs, you have to move your weight of your body against the downward pulling force of the gravity. The energy expand in the process is mostly converted into the potential energy. So climbing stair is more and increases in your potential energy as you are going up, and or decreases in your potential energy as you are going down. This is an example of the law of conservative energy in action. You really do have more potential energy in the top of the building than at the bottom, even if it doesn't feel any different. To a scientist, an elevator is simply a device that increases or decreases a person's potential energy without them needing to supply that amount of energy by themselves. The elevator gives a potential energy when you are going up, and it takes more energy from you when you are coming down. If all elevators had been simple hoists with a cage passing over a pulley, it would use a considerable amount of energy lifting up a people, but it would have no way of getting that energy for the safety brake itself. If the cable snaps, a variety of safety system prevent an elevator from crashing to the floor. This was a great innovation that Elisha Graves Otis made back in the 1860s. His elevator weren't simply supported by ropes, they also had a ratchet system as a backup.
To make it easier to understand how an elevator works is simple. You may imagine that two big important things within elevator. First is the car and the counterweight. So the mechanism is simple. First, if the car goes up, then the counterweight are going to go down, and vice versa. That's what happened.
So each car ran between two vertical guides with a sturdy metal teeth embedded all the way up of them. At the top of the car, there was a spring-loaded mechanism with the hooks attached. If the cables broke, the hooks spring outward and jam it into the metal teeth in the guide rails, locking the car safely in the position. Modern elevators have multiple safety systems, like the cables on the suspension bridge. The cable in the elevator is made from many metal strands of wire rope twisted together, so some small failure of one part of the cable isn't, initially at least, going to cause the problem. So most elevators also have multiple and separate cables supporting each car. So the complete failure of one cable leaves other functioning in its place. Even if all the cables break, the system will still hold the car. If you ever look at the transparent glass elevator, you will have noticed a giant hydraulic or gas spring buffer at the bottom to cushion against an impact if the safety brake somehow fail. So most elevators have an entirely separate speed regulating system called governor, which is a heavy flywheel with a massive mechanical arms built inside it. Normally, the arms are held the flywheels by hefty springs, but if the lift moves too fast, they fly outward, pushing the lever mechanism that trips one or more braking system. First, they might cut the power to lift motor, but if that fails, the lift continues to accelerate. The arms will fly out even further and trips a second mechanism, applying the brakes. Some governors are entirely mechanical, others are electromagnetic. Still others use a mixture between a mechanic and an electrical component.
Udah lah.